Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Virginia and VIR. Virginia is for lovers has long been the tagline for this part of the United States of America. This afternoon, Virginia is for racing lovers. For the next 2 hours, the Virginia is for Racing Lovers Grand Prix will entertain us as this weekend's round of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge pits GT4 GS cars against TCR machinery. 30 of them on the grid as we're at the business end of the season and battling for championship positions and the big trophies at the end of the season at Motul Petit Le Mans in October. Hello everybody, I'm John Hindhaugh along with Jeremy Shaw in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre, Shea Adam in the pit lane. We're just outside beautiful Danville, Virginia at VIR, Virginia International Raceway. Seems incredible to me that we almost lost this fabulous facility to racing altogether, but thanks to Connie Nyholm and the current ownership group, it has been preserved, and more than that, it has been improved for fabulous racing. 17 corners, a couple of long straights. The front straight, although it curves, is very fast down to the horseshoe at turn 1, then climbing up to the old oak tree corners at turn 11 and 12, and then down the long back straight. No chicane in that back straight. It's a straight run all the way to the roller coaster, and then plunging down to turn 17, the hog pen. Well, there's plenty of challenges in this next 2 hours. Shea Adam is our eyes and ears down in the pit lane. And let's take our first BDO pit report from her. First of all, Shea, is everybody out of the pit lane?
No, we've got big drama because the 39 Carbon BMW was unable to move away from its good position. I think it was 5th or 6th for Sean McAllister. Did not get rolling, and the race officials waited as long as they could before then sending out Jensen Altman around him in the McCumbee McLaren Mustang. Now, he's still stationary, is the BMW of McAllister, waiting for crew members to run out from the pit box. One has just gotten to him, but Sean is sitting there helplessly trying to do everything he can to cycle the car. Headlights come on, there's an attempt, the starter is trying, but the engine is just not turning over.
Keep an eye on that for us, Shea. So drama before we've even got to the green light. 29 cars then circulating around the track at the moment, 10 in the TCR category, and in fact it will be 28 because we have a car missing from the grid. Jeremy Shaw could give us more about that.
Yeah, I can, unfortunately. The number 34 car, Mackay Stevens, qualified in 5th position earlier today. A really good run for that JMF Motorsports Mercedes. But they got that car had a puncture in qualifying, so they wanted to change the tyre before the race. You can change one tyre without penalty. But the problem was the form they submitted was incorrect. They put the wrong tyre on there. By the time they realised it, which was pretty shortly afterwards, they tried to submit the form, and IMSA said, "Sorry, you've already filed it. We can't do anything about it." And in protest, they've withdrawn, which I think is a bit lame, to be perfectly honest. And I think it's a real shame, a great missed opportunity for that team. Okay, you've got to start from the back. Things happen in this sport, and it wasn't anybody else's fault. The fact that the form was submitted is nobody else's fault other than the guy pressed the button to submit it. So, really unfortunate that car won't be taken part, because that team has been a really strong addition to the championship this year. They've had all sorts of bad luck, but they've been fast more often than not. Jesse Webb and Mackay Stevens are two really talented drivers as well.
Indeed so, and the fight up from the outside of the 10th row, because they would have only started behind the rest of the GSs. I don't think they'd have gone to the back of the whole field. They would have gone back to the TCRs. That would have been entertaining for us as well. Shea Adam can update us on that problem we heard about earlier on. Shea, it's not good news, I believe.
No, the Carbon BMW has just been pushed back behind the wall. Now, because the green flag is not out, they were allowed to use more crew members than is normally permitted. So they have a horde of men from the team pushing this BMW as quickly as they can to try and get back. It had power. There was full power on the dashboard and the rear view camera, and it was trying to turn over. It just would not catch. So they couldn't come up with an answer for Sean McAllister. And now the car looks like it's going back to the garage area. Horrible day for them.
Hello to right turn lover, to Jan, to all of the European audience who's tuning in at 8:15 in Central European time, just after or just on 7:15 in the UK. Stephen McAleer is about to take control of the field in the RS1 Porsche, the 718 GT4, with Jesse Lazare alongside him in the motorsport in action, the Mia McLaren Artura GT4. So the red, white and black Porsche, the blue, white and black McLaren, they will be side by side when they come over the top of the roller coaster the next time by to take the green flag. It'll be Michael McCarthy for Kelly Moss in their Porsche, the number 91, and Team TGM's Paul Holton. At the moment, they're in behind the Toyota Supra GR safety car, the white, black and red machine. In TCR, it will be a first pole position for the number 77 Toyota Elantra NTCR. Bryson Morris will be on pole position there, and really for the Hyundai, excuse me, not Toyota, that's the safety car. And really bad news then for the Carbon team, who've pushed that car behind the wall. Jeremy, we've got about half a lap before we go green. This is the business end of the season. Championship implications for pretty much everything that happens from here on in.
Yeah, very much so. Certainly that is the case, John, because the championship leader in GS, well, got a pretty handy lead. 200 points Matt Plum has in that number 46 Team TGM Aston Martin over the car that will start on pole position for today's race. Stephen McAleer and Trent Hidman in the RS1 Porsche. As I say, 200 points deficit, but with 5 races to go, there's still over 1,000 points to be earned. So it's not over yet for that team. In the TCR category, Chris Miller and Mikey Taylor, they've also got a handy lead, over 200 points, 220 points over Preston Brown, and Denny Dupont have been super consistent in their number 76 Brian Herder Autosport Hyundai coming into this round. The only problem they've had really was the last time out at Road America. Other than that, they've had a string of top finishes. So championship not over by any means.
Yeah, you only need to slip up and have a non-finish, drop down to the back of the field, particularly when there are 19, 20 cars running in the GS category. The Toyota Supra GR safety car is about to release the field. It's still sitting at the front of the field. Safety car driver staying pretty close to the head of the field as they come down the hill now from the roller coaster turns, and now it accelerates away, indicates right, and pulls into the pit lane, which is on driver's right. And now it's down to Stephen McAleer on the front row with Jesse Lazare right in behind Michael McCarthy in the gold and black number 91 Kelly Moss with Riley Porsche. He is on the inside of row 2. On the inside of row 3 is Sean McAllister, or should have been Sean McAllister, should I say, because that car's not there anymore. So Jensen Holtzman in the grey Mustang gets to the start, and I mentioned the inside road because the inside of the grid there, because they all get a better start into the horseshoe at turn 1. Here come the TCRs, led by Bryson Morris. Big responsibility on his shoulders for the first time as they come to green and down towards the first corner. And Stephen McAleer has converted pole position to the lead, and it looks like Jesse Lazare, from an unprepossessing looking start, has got himself into second position ahead of the Kelly Moss by Riley Porsche in third. It's Jensen Holtzman in 4th position in the grey with blue striped Ford Mustang. The rest of the GS field spreading out, but Stephen McAlee's had a cracking start and he's pulled out 8 or 10 cars length at the front of the GS field. Behind them, it was a split start. It looks like the pole sitter has managed to hold on to their advantage as well. Pretty tidy start, Jeremy, from both classes.
Yeah, indeed, that's always good to see, isn't it? And good start, as you say there, for Jensen Alton, number 13 Ford Mustang. They've had some strong runs this season, including that car's best result last time out at Road America, where there was a different co-driver with Jensen Alton. Well, it wasn't their best result. They finished in 5th position. They had a 3rd, he and Chad McCumbee, earlier in the season. But Gavin Sanders drove a brilliant race in that car last time out, with Jensen bringing that car home in 5th position. Another strong start here for that McCumbee-McAleer Ford.
Nice clean start with Stephen McAleer jumping away. There was just enough room for the outside of the front row and the Motorsport in Action McLaren to jump in to the gap. Now the question will be, did they change lanes too early? And will that bring a penalty to Jesse Lazar? The inside lane, the driver's right lane, got the best start behind the pole-sitting RS1 Porsche. And Jesse Lazar pulled to the right. The question will be, was that too early? Shea Adam was watching very carefully over the pit wall, as she always does. And just remind everybody of the regulation, Shea, about changing lanes at the start of the race.
You're supposed to hold your column until after the start-finish line, or in most cases after the start line, because we do go to some places like Circuit of the Americas where the start line and the finish line are in different spots. It looked to me like the McLaren had moved over as it passed me, and I was standing well before the start line.
And that's what race control will be looking at the moment. It's certainly been a very impressive start, almost a couple of seconds between Stephen McAleer at the front of the field and that Motorsport in Action, the Mia McLaren. Good to see a good battle going on for 3rd position, and here is Jensen Alton taking advantage of a much better qualifying from Jensen. By his own admission, qualifying has been something that he has had to sharpen himself up on, and there's no doubt about his racing skills, and he's certainly been working on his qualifying. Started on the inside of row 3 today, and he's already turned that into a 3rd position, Jeremy.
Yeah, he has a really good run for him. This is his, he qualified 6th at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, 7th at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, but he started, he qualified 7th here, but started, well, effectively 5th, of course, with the number 34 car pulling out and number 39 car not started, but still, it's another very competitive run for Jensen, and they're doing the same at the start of the race.
Hearing that the carbon BMW, which was being worked on towards the back of pit road, has gone back to the paddock area and heading to their garage area. So drama for that car, which did not take the start. It didn't want to fire up. There was power to the car, however, that has yet to cross the start line. And we do have a penalty for changing lanes, and it is a drive-through, and it is not the car we thought, Jeremy. It isn't the number 69 McLaren.
It's not. It's number 16 car, Ken Fukuda, in the Skip Barber Racing Aston. We started deep in the field, but you know, the officials are watching everybody. And you know, it's tricky here at VIR because there's a whole series of kinks to the right, aren't there, on that front straightaway? And
good point.
The temptation is, if there's a gap alongside you, well, let's shorten the racetrack. And it's particularly difficult here. And I would say unless it's an egregious moving right across, the officials will try and let him go, let it go. But that's clearly not the case for the number 16 car.
Shea Adam has better news for BMW and car barn supporters.
They're back in it. They just rumbled out down the pit lane, and they are joining this race. So that means that they will score at the worst place points. Huge day for them as far as their position in the championship is concerned, which I know is not where they hoped it would be, but it means that it can only go up from here.
That car fired up then and heading back onto the racetrack. Wait to see that car come through. If you are just joining us, the JMF Motorsport Mercedes, they fumbled their paperwork after an unfortunate tyre puncture in qualifying, and you are allowed, if you've had a tyre problem, if you submit the paperwork, you're allowed to change your tyre without losing a single tyre, without losing your qualifying position. They managed to submit it for the wrong tyre, which would have put them only to the back of the GS grid, but they decided that they didn't want to do that, and they've packed up and decided not to take part. So unfortunate for Mackay Stevens and his teammate, because they had a car, that JMF Motorsports car with Jesse Webb and Mackay in the car. He had a car that clearly had some performance. The other car that didn't take the start was the car barn Sean McAllister driven BMW G82, the number 39. That's now out on the track, and we now, Shane, know why it didn't get to the start.
Variable valve mode, that normally the engine cycles through its normal things and it fires up, and it did not cycle through the normal things, and it was actually a part that they had to change, but it used to be located underneath the exhaust manifold. That would have been about a 40-minute job to fix. This time it was a 4-minute fix, so very good evolution by BMW, let's say, to make their cars easier to fix when something does go wrong. And that's part of why we saw Audi, another German manufacturer, win Le Mans so many times, John, because they did just that.
It's not just about speed and reliability. All of these cars nowadays, as the number 16 Ken Fukuda Skip Barber Aston Martin Vantage comes through to serve its penalty for jumping lanes. All of these cars, it's about how quick you can fix things if you do get an issue, and whether that's bodywork damage or other mechanical issues. And quite a lot of the changes made on these cars means that it's for serviceability. So that was jumping the start, or at least changing lanes at the start for the Skip Barber number 16. Race control continue to look at that start. They have not cleared it quite yet, so there may be more penalties coming, Jeremy.
Yeah, and that was pretty clear, unfortunately, from the onboard there of Ken Fukuda. He clearly moved across. You can see the cars in front of him, and probably the car behind him as well stayed in line, but he didn't. And yeah, you know, he's a relative newcomer to this series, of course, is Ken Fukuda. This is only his fifth start in this car, and as I say, it's tricky here at VIR, but he's going to have to serve a drive-through, which he has now done, and come out behind Ted Giovannis. So he'll got a few he got most of the TCR cars to pass first of all.
Had a small issue, well, I say a small issue, a worrying issue for one of the TCR cars, that being the number 77 leading Brian Herder Autosport Hyundai Elantra, Bryson Morris from the pole position. Looked to have a little stab of flame from the back right-hand side. That hasn't reoccurred, so that car continues, but we'll keep an eye on that. Jesse Lazar has closed down to just 1.1 seconds. It was 1.8 seconds. Stephen McAleer took off as if he'd been shot out of a catapult at the start of the race. Lazar battling with Jensen Altman and Michael McCarthy and Paul Holtman. Big mover is Jensen Altman, who started in 5th position, moved up pretty swiftly to 3rd in the mid-grey with the blue racing stripes. And Here's another penalty coming through, and this is for lining up on the wrong side of the grid. And now, is that because there was a gap, I wonder? Rory van der Steur for Aston Martin and the Vantage. So the 7th place car will have to come through on the pit lane as well. Yeah, absolutely. Hello to Grant Westman.
That's
Sorry,
a lot
Johnny,
more
go
costly. Yeah, that's a lot more costly, John, because that car stands 3rd in the point standings. And Rory van der Steur, he's had a bunch of different co-drivers this season, but he was only 30 points behind the race leader at the moment, Stephen McAleer and Trent Hindman. So that'll be a costly mistake for that number 19 car.
Hello to Grant Westman. Now this is huge. This is championship leader in the wall, in the TCR championship leader in the wall at the oak tree. There's damage to the left front of the number 17 Audi. This is the Unitronic machine. Chris Miller with his 2nd off-track excursion of the day. Oh, we're still green at the moment. He crashed at turn 3 in qualifying. And van der Steur comes into the pit lane now to serve his penalty. That's very smart in the multicoloured number 19 new paint scheme, or at least livery for that car. It's left front, left door mirror, and damage to the bodywork there for the Unitronic Liquid Moly car. Oh my goodness me, this is huge, huge championship implications. Now, I'm looking at that and thinking, if I'm them, I continue at the moment. We've stayed green, and as of right now, there's carbon fibre damage to the top of the left front fender, the left front wing. The driver's door mirror is folded in. It was an oak tree. It's the classic running straight on. There's a bit of a ding and a dent in the door around about the number panel on the left-hand side, on the driver's side of this Audi RS3 TCR saloon. He's going past the start-finish line. It's on the wrong side for his team to see it, but they'll be looking at the international feed pictures that you're seeing if you're outside of the US at the moment, live and free from VIR. Massive, massive championship implications for this car with this team with a big lead, and he just did the absolute signature drop off the track going into the first part of Oak Tree at turn 11. You're trail braking in there, and he just couldn't get the car to turn, couldn't get the front end to bite. The good news, Jeremy, is it was a relatively glancing blow for that car, and whilst it's cost him, of course it has, cost him some track position, at the moment at least, that Unitronic JDC Miller Motorsport car is still running.
Yeah, and it's not often that Chris Miller makes mistakes. It really isn't. And you know, he and
True
Mikey
enough.
Taylor have just been an exemplary season so far. And you know, they come into this weekend knowing that they just want to finish the races and have no major difficulties. They had some problem last time out at Road America, but came back and finished 4th. And you know, a very handy lead coming into this weekend. But you take your foot off the gas pedal, and weird things can happen. Like you go slower.
It's true.
But not often you make mistakes. Certainly, Chris Miller will be kicking himself for that, and I hope for that team's sake there isn't any major damage on that car. Whoops!
Jensen Alton going off on the uphill section. He was battling for 2nd position with Jesse Lazare. He's lost a position to Michael McCarthy in the Porsche, the gold and black car. A little bit of rallycross from the Ford Mustang there, but I don't think there's any damage to the front splitter. But now he's got Paul Holton and Team TGM's number 46 Aston right on the rear wing of the pony car as he heads towards the 2nd of the rises on the back straight, which leads, after the little dip, leads up to the top of the roller coaster. I think he might just have got a little bit too close to the back of the Mia McLaren. Yeah, he did, and maybe a little bit of aero push, and also just had to lift off and brake where he didn't need to. It's actually a pretty smart bit of driving by Jensen. chose not to run into the back of the McLaren, which I think was the right choice. Realised he was going to have to compromise the next part of that uphill section, but he chose that on the relatively flat part at the top of the hill. It is dry, and he lives to fight another day. Just checking the stays on the very edges of that front splitter on the front of that GT3 Ford Mustang. It's dusty, it's got a bit of grass on it, Jeremy, but I think he's got away with that.
Yeah, that's a stroke of luck for him, certainly. Yeah, I think he clipped the inside. We clipped one side through the S's on the dirt, got over the curb a little bit, did the same on the other side, and then he's kind of running. You're getting behind on the steering, as Richard Petty used to say, and got himself out of sequence in terms of the left and right through that climbing S's, and it bit him there. Had to run off the road and cost him a fair bit of time. But as you say, I think he's got away with it. Just lost that one position. And a really good run here by Michael McCarthy in that Kelly Mosswood Riley number 91 car. That's the car, of course, that won the opening round of the season at Daytona on fuel strategy. But there's a big slide as well under braking for Jensen Olsen. That Ford is sliding around a bit right now.
Yeah, I wonder if he slightly overheated the rear Michelins early on, trying to keep himself in that position. No further action now on the start, so anybody else who was sweating, they can breathe a sigh of relief. And hello to Grant Westman. I mentioned his name earlier on. He's sitting in the Lickman hospitality with a bright red t-shirt on and a Turner Taco hat that says, "Take a drink when Hindhoff says," and I'm not going to say it now, but basically it's our pit reporter's first name. So we may have to pour him into some form of transport to get him out before the end of today's Speedy Saturday. Let's take a look at what's going on then in the classes. Bryson Morris leads from Mark Wilkins. The number 17 and 98 Hyundais lead from Sam Baker for Baker Racing's Audi RS3, the number 52 car. Dai Yoshihara in the Honda Civic number 93 is third from Morgan Burkhardt for Victor Gonzalez Racing's Elantra, the number 99. And then Will Talley for the Alpha is next up. And in fact, as I was going through that, I should have been mentioning Preston Brown in the Brian Herner Autosport Blue and White 76. And I would have been, had he not just gone off from a top 6 position in that Children's Heart Foundation Hyundai Elantra. Then he went off at the top of the hill at the roller coaster and immediately comes into the pit lane. Stephen McAleer leads by 2.8 seconds now from Jesse Lazare for Motorsports in Action and the McLaren. That's a couple of decent laps by Stephen to take out more than a second, 2.3 seconds now. And Michael McCarthy now in third position with the Kelly Moss car. Jensen Altman holding his position in fourth. Then Paul Holton for Team TGM Aston, that's the number 46, and the number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW. Further down the field, there's damage on the front of the number 71 Frank Depew Rebel Rock Racing car. The left front of the splitter is broken off completely, and there's damage to the left rear as well of that car. So he is losing downforce and losing carbon fibre. That's your in-race update with 19 minutes gone. Shea Adam has had a pit caller.
Preston Brown in the number 76 Hyundai from BHA, second in the championship coming into today's race. Crew guys just noticing part of the brake line has sheared off. So this car will be in here for a little while. The question is, are they going to roll it back behind the wall to take a better look at it? Looks like that's what they are going to do now. A terrible championship day for this car, which won the 4-hour contest when we were at Mid-Ohio earlier in the year. No, they just did bring out a new line, so they are going to try and change it on the pit lane, but they've already lost a lap. They're going to lose a few more. When you were talking about Frank Depew, I'm just wondering if maybe that was contact with Tom Collingwood, because that's who Depew was chasing on track for the last couple of laps. I've watched him getting closer and closer, and now you can hear the damage on the Aston Martin as it rumbles by on the track.
It's a BTO pit lane report here in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, and that work goes on the pit lane. Bryson Morris trying to make a bid for freedom at the front of the TCR field, and he's got himself about half a second, just put the fastest lap with that race in. But at the front of the field, Jeremy Shaw, how about this for Stephen McAleer? He was out by about 1.8. It came down to 1.1. It went up to 2.8. But Jesse Lazare back in stride again now. It's got it back down to 1.7.
Yeah, last time around, Trent lost a little bit of time. As we see the Aston Martin of Frank Depew is certainly struggling with that bits hanging off that car. And he's going to be fortunate if he's not black flagged. He ran off the road again there. Maybe he's trying to get rid of it. He was on the wrong side of the road. He was trying, oh no, he's not. It's the right side, isn't it? Yes, the left side of the car. And he was running off on the dirt there, maybe hoping that it would kind of hook on to a bit of curbing and
the split is gone
completely.
The front splitter has now gone. Yeah, that's going to understeer terribly. That means it's going to push the car when he puts front turn into the car. When he turns the steering wheel, the car is not going to want to turn. Looks like there's a dent to the left front as well, so there may have been contact there with another car. But the last time he went off the circuit at the top of the hill, the whole front of the splitter, bar a tiny bit on the right-hand side, has fallen off. The rear diffuser is hanging on grimly. And that, I think, is the bit that IMSA will be worried about, because that's quite a substantial piece of bodywork. That is going to be one ill-handling Aston Martin, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's going to be a real pig, and he doesn't have any choice. He's going to bring that car on the pit lane now, and yeah, the team will be lucky if they can get this car back out again in any raceable form, I would suggest.
They're putting fuel in just to give them some strategic flexibility. Oh, I think there's fluid coming out the front of that car as well. There's grass underneath the car that is, at the moment, that is just smouldering away. They're trying to pull off by hand, and with a set of clippers, the carbon fibre on the back, this car is basically going to have zero underbody aero, because it's lost the front splitter that diverts the air around the front of the car, and it's lost the rear diffuser that pulls the air out from underneath. Oh my goodness, that is horrible, absolutely horrible. Now, just a note on the Carbon car, which did get by into the race, 3 laps down. There is a minimum drive time, of course, here, which is 40 minutes, but that does not include any time in the pit lane. So that Carbon car, which joined early by our reckoning, and thanks to Lee Driggers for working this out with the stopwatch, 45 minutes and 54 seconds for that number 39 car. So if everyone else starts diving in at 40 minutes, assuming we go green all the way to that, then do not expect that 39 BMW to come in at the same time. They'll have to go on almost another 6 minutes to make their minimum driver time for the first driver, Sean McAllister. Something to think about in around about half an hour's time.
Yeah, fair point, but unfortunately that's the least of their worries, being that far bit back. I mean, it's going to be awfully difficult to make up 3 laps around here, that's for sure. So, but good point there. And those who have served a drive-through penalty also, same thing, yes, in effect there. That time they spent driving down the pit lane does not count toward their minimum drive time. Interesting at the front of the field, John, the gaps are yo-yoing a bit between Steve McAleer and Jesse Lazare. It was, you talked about it a little while ago, it came down to 1.7, now it's back out again to 2.2. There were a couple of slower laps from Stephen McAleer. Tyre wear here, degradation is certainly an issue during this race, although funny enough we didn't see much of it in the VP Racing Challenge Series event just a little bit earlier on today. The cars were pretty consistent on lap times all the way through that race, but we'll have to certainly keep an eye on that. The lap time last time around for Jesse Lazare in second position was a 1:57.1, which is a full 1.3 seconds away from his best lap of the race, so that's quite a bit. So, at the TCR battle then, let's check in there. Bryson Morris leads in the number 77. That is one of the Brian Hurt Sports Hyundai Elantras, 1:57.8, the best lap there. Sam Baker in the
It's sort of a silver and blue colour. This is a new entry this weekend, and Sam in third position in the Audi RS3.
Yeah, that family team.
Sorry, yes.
Dean and Sam, they've had a couple of previous starts, finished fifth well, that was last time out actually, at the home racetrack, and they've done a really nice job, and they're holding on there. Big train of cars behind them, with Dai Yoshiharu was on the pole last time out. Also, Morgan Burkhardt was a fine young star. Robert Wickens right there, and Will Talley as well, the winner of the race last time out, along with Tim Moose Jr. in the Alpha. So he's doing a very nice job there. Is Sam Baker in that number 52 car. Of course, he's dad and lad. He's lad, 24 years of age. They live literally just down the street from the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada.
And at the front of the field, Stephen McAleer now 2 seconds to the good, not traffic. He's got pretty much the length of the back straight before he would catch up to Frank Depew, the number 71. That's the car that has somewhat less aerodynamic downforce than it would have had earlier on. And our BDO pit lane reporter has been talking to the team.
For Rebel Rock?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, sorry about that. Was just trying to get some more information on the number 13 Jensen Altsman-driven Ford Mustang, because it appears that they are going to be bringing him in soon, and they have one sticker tire up on the wall. So sorry, that was distracting me. Robin Liddell, when I walked over to ask about the damage to the car, he goes, well, we've lost most of the under tray, we've lost the rear diffuser, we've lost bits of the front splitter, but who needs downforce? It's a GT4 car. It'll be fine. So don't count out Robin Liddell ever.
Yes. It's the Michelin tyres. I may beg to differ from the ever optimistic Scotsman, Robin Liddell, who has done a really good job over the last few years with Rebel Rock, with Frank Depew, and engineered their move from Chevrolet Camaro to Aston Martin. Had one of the new cars. Now sounds to me as though the number 76, just tripped the Bright Night Autosport Preston Brown, driven 76, the blue and white car that went off early on with that, and then had the brake line problem. Now is 4 or 5 laps from the lead in TCR, but back out. Anything can happen in the next 90 minutes or thereabouts. At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch, please. And thank you to all those who have. So, just settling in now after what it has to be said, Jeremy, it's been a pretty hectic first half hour of this race.
Yeah, true that. We've had various cars off the road. We've had a few penalties, we've had some incidents, nothing car to car yet, thankfully. Kids try and keep it that way. You mentioned a little while ago Bryson Morris, who's checking out at the front of the TCR field. He's pulled out now 5.5 seconds over his teammate Mark Wilkins, who's been driving these cars with a lot of success now for a lot of years. So that's a feather in the young man's cap. Bryson Morris well clear of Mark Wilkins. And Sam Baker, he's about another 9 seconds further back and still holding on to that third position in TCR in the Baker Racing Audi.
Hello to...
Just look at number 30, the number 17 car, of course, the car that went off earlier on, John. He's still on the lead lap, so he's running along there, and his lap times are not quite as good as the leaders in TCR, but not horrible either.
Yeah, a little bit quicker than the cars ahead. So this has kind of thrown things off a little bit. Looks like we've had another problem for Preston Brown. He's not up to speed on this Hayes outlet coming across the line now. He's staying all the way to the right-hand side of the circuit, as into the pits the Sebring Simpson Motorsport Porsche for Gordon Scully. Let's take a BDO pit lane report and see what we can find out.
Oof, massive overheating going on in this car. Gordon going off at the final turn, 17, and then cutting straight across traffic to come back into the pit lane. The car smells horrible because there is so much grass packed into the front of the car, and now water pouring out the right front. This thing is done.
Well, clearly an off-track incident then, if there is grass in that car. Just goes to prove how much performance they're trying to wring out of all of these cars, that a single off-track moment and a bit of grass in the radiator intakes could cause such a problem. Still this cracking battle going on. The number 52 Sam Baker racing car, with the Liquid Moly sponsorship on that car, the silver and blue machine. Not one of the full season entrants, as we mentioned earlier on, sitting in a stoic third position. Dai Yoshihara, Robert Wickens, Will Tully, all following in the wheel tracks. And about 3.5 seconds between that battle and second place in TCR. The Brian Herter Autosport Hyundai Elantra of Mark Wilkins, number 98. He's got exactly a second between himself and the leader at the front of the field. Stephen McAleer has now stabilised that gap at about 2.5 seconds at the front of the field. The red, white, black RS1 Porsche number 28 leads from Jesse Lazare in the blue and white Motorsport in Action McLaren. Half a second further back, Kelly Moss with Riley, black and gold number 91 Porsche, and 0.2 of a second the BMW, the Turner Motorsport 96. That's the white Liquid Moly sponsored car, the BMW. And then another 0.8 back to Paul Holton in Team TGM, the silver, bright orange and blue Aston Martin, number 46, and then the second of the Turner Motorsport car, the more traditional. I know I've got those the wrong way around, haven't I? That's the white and blue car, the white, yellow and blue car with the white hood, whilst the one in, I mentioned earlier on, Francis Seldorf, is just the blue and yellow car. So that's how they stand. 33 minutes elapsed.
Yeah, and 157.3 last time around for our race leader. 155.9 was his fastest lap of the race, Stephen McAleer. That gap is pretty much stabilised around about 2 seconds now over Jesse Lazare. But Michael McCarthy and that train of cars we were just talking about, Michael McCarthy, Francis Seldorf, Paul Holton and Dylan McElwain, all holding pace there in that battle for second position. And Muzzy Retzky's fallen back just a little bit and coming under pressure from Jensen Holtzman, who's recovering from that off a little while ago. A little bit farther back, in TCR, John, Bryson Morrison got a pretty handy lead over Mark Wilkins, I think, and then there's about 10 seconds back to Sam Baker in third position, who's again got that train of cars behind him.
RS2, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels, is IMSA Radio. Also on IMSA.tv for the live stream. Good to have your company at IMSA Radio. Hello to Blurfiend in the Porsche workshop on a Saturday. Bit of overtime. Excellent stuff. All live and free. And plenty more to come this weekend as well. Thank you for your time this afternoon. We've got qualifying for IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, plus Mazda MX-5 Race 1. Always worth tuning in for. Have those in sound and vision for you. Gordon Scully's been off at turn 17 and now come back into the pits again for the Sebring Simpson car, so I don't think that car's going any further, and it could be that one will take no further part. What a drive so far by Stephen McAleer, Jeremy. I mean, such experience for this man. Has come up through the ranks in IMSA competition over the last decade and more. Graduated to team owner as well, of course, and continues to ply his trade as a racing driver really wants this championship, to get a championship, had a real good crack at it in the last couple of years, but still clearly has plenty to offer behind the wheel.
Yeah, he won a championship in the old ST class, but that was nearly 10 years ago, 2015, that championship. But you're right, that RS1 team with he and Trent Hinman, it's a tremendous pairing, and they came into the season with super high expectations. Unfortunately, had all sorts of dramas and mishaps and things that could go wrong did for the first part of the season, but lately that car has been on a tear. Two straight wins, running out front here from the pole position, so everything going according to plan for that RS1 team at the moment. In the meantime, the championship leading car in GS is running very comfortably in that 5th position. Paul Holton at the wheel of that Team TGM Aston Martin in that train of cars battling over 2nd position, so he's doing exactly what he should be doing before he hands that car over to Matt Plum for the end of the race. In TCR championship-wise, we've had problems, of course, for the first top 2 in the points table.
Yes.
The number 17 car off the road earlier on, and then that problem also for number 76 car that we had been running in 2nd position. And Harry Gottsacker and Robbie Wickens in car number 33. Well, Robbie had to start at the back after that engine change, but he's running again in the battle for 3rd position at the moment. He's got past Will Talley a little while ago, and running now in the 5th position in the class in car number 33.
Core Motorsports, Bob Michelin, just having a little look at, I think, at the back of the Archangel Aston Martin Vantage as they were heading to the top of the hill and the roller coaster last time around. Serene progress being made at the moment by our race leader in the absolutely unmarked red, white and black number 28. This is the Porsche 718 from RS1. This is the Cayman RS, last of the internal combustion engines for that shape of car. The replacement will be an all-electric car. Slight off at the horseshoe at turn 1 for the bright green Aston number 88. Oh my goodness me, he's picked up a whole load of grass in the front of that car, and that car will have to come to pit lane for Todd Coleman. This was the battle that I was mentioning. He was under pressure from Michelin behind him, and he, I think, was looking too much in his rear view there. Came into the first corner in, well, not on the approved racing line. Now looks like it's got a green moustache on that car, which needs to be shaved, I would say. The engine temperatures will be starting to climb, and he's being caught by the Van der Steur Racing Aston Martin. Rory Van der Steur has already been down pit lane once, so they'll have to factor that in to their calculations for drive time, because time spent in the pit lane doesn't count, so they may have to stay out just a wee bit longer depending when the 40 minutes clicks over. But for anybody who's not been into the pit lane, we're about a lap away, I reckon, now for the minimum drive time for the first driver to be met. It will just depend where Stephen McAleer is on the track, and I'll tell you where he is on the track. He's just gone through turn 1, so definitely he'll be fine next time around.
Yeah, no, the leaders won't be in, John, I don't think. Yeah, Stephen McAleer is running nicely. He's the same sort of pace as Trent Hinman, so he'll run as long as he can. Bring him in?
No, I'd leave him out, absolutely. Absolutely,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he'll be onto the pit lane. It's really only the pro-am element of this field. Unfortunately, Todd Coleman, with that mistake, John, has had to bring that car into pit lane, as you suggested, to get that excess grass brought out. If he'd done that on the next lap, he might have got away with it and made the driver change to Aaron Tielitz, but that's not the case.
Yeah, they're going to have to come in again, and they'll clean the front of that car out. I think if I was them, I would do the service, do the fuel and tyres, leave Todd in, send him round for one lap, and then give him a couple of laps maybe. Skip Barber, Ken Fukada, Ken Fukuda in the pit lane. That's too early for them because they'd already been down the pit lane for a penalty, if you remember. So that's going to be too short for them. So that's a mistake, I reckon. I will bow to Shea Adam and potentially to Lee Driggers on that one as well, because I know they'll be looking out who else has just come into the pit lane. The Ted Giovannis is in the pit lane. Now that's fine because that's Ted's first time into the pit lane. That was his fastest lap actually, a 1:59.927, as he brings in the number 64 Aston Martin. Also coming in from the front of the field. Now this is a little more significant. The Kelly Moss with Riley 718 Porsche, the number 91 car, coming in from the front of the field. Let's take a BDO pit report for these early pit stoppers.
Oh, and Michael McCarthy falls getting out of the car. He actually stopped up and rolled away from the driver's side door so that Riley would have enough space to get into that number 91 Porsche. Very heads up of him. They're doing 4 tires and fuel for the Porsche as well. The number 95 Turner Motorsport BMW came in. It was Dylan McIvern, race winner here quite a few years ago now, handing over to Rob McGuinness, who called the green flag for his co-driver. Fuel and tires for Turner. Fuel and tires also for Jensen Althman, getting out of the number 13 MMR Ford Mustang, handing over to Chad McCumbee. We've also got the Stephen Cameron Racing Ford Mustang down at the other end of pit lane, fuel and tires, as Sean Quinlan gets out and Greg Leafouge takes over. And we have a windward in. That is Bryce getting out, Daniel getting in, and once again, 4 tires. Up on the wall now, scrambling, the number 96 Turner Motorsport crew. They are waiting. Francis Suldorf, who has done a fantastic job at the start of this race, he'll be handing over to Robbie Foley, another one of those guys who knows how to win these races.
Expect to see the number 88 Todd Coleman Archangel Motorsport in again shortly. Whatever else they do, they were too early, I think, for their pit stop, and they spun the wheels while the car was elevated as well. So that's at least twice more before they come down before they can get back to racing. Twice more down the pit lane they need to be. And that is, oh my goodness, this is going to really throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Riley Dickinson has taken over the number 91 Kelly Moss with Riley as they head back out onto the pit lane. Chad McCumbie's out, Leah Fuchs out, Daniel Morad's out, and the leader is in the pit lane. Stephen McAleer comes in, has not been headed since the green flag. Now we have our first lead change. Jesse Lazar for Motorsport in Action, and the McLaren is leading the race, and we'll take a BDO pit lane report for the driver change.
Trent Hinman is already aboard the number 28 RS1 Porsche. He's got 4 sticker Michelin tires being thrown at the car quite aggressively by the crew guys. Nice stop that they've done on the left side already, running around to change the right. The driver's side door has closed. Stephen walking over to the pit wall, looking quite satisfied. Oh, he jumped up on the pit wall. Wow, Stephen Mackler with energy to spare. That's pretty good. Now watching the 96 Turner Motorsport stop, Robbie Foley is aboard. They too are changing the right side tires. These were the only 2 cars to come in this lap. And in Don Salama, we trust and believe. So whatever Turner does, everybody else has to be watching too. Waiting on fuel. There goes RS1. They beat out Turner Motorsport. There goes Robbie Foley.
A little bit slow on the right rear wheel. 5 studs, 5 lug nuts on there, but it actually didn't cost them any time because the fuel was still going in on the nose of the Porsche. So Jesse Lazar leads by 1 second over Team TGM, the championship leaders, the number 46 Aston Martin, Paul Holton. They will come in shortly, I would assume. Nobody's losing a lap here because of the length of the circuit, and it's getting on for 2 minutes of a lap. So a pit stop is not losing you a lap. It gets worse and worse for Archangel Motorsport. Another penalty, leaving with equipment attached. That will be another drive-through. So Todd Coleman will be in and out again, and they still haven't made their driver change. Here comes the leader into the pit lane. 1 hour and 15 remaining, Jeremy. And so far, so good for the guys at the front of the field.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that some are coming in this early. They don't need to come in this early in terms of fuel. But I think what they're trying to do is kind of make it 3 sort of equal stints rather than a full pit stop and then a long run and then a full stop or just a splash to get to the end. They're kind of splitting it up. The tire degradation certainly a factor here, like we talked about earlier on, although I've been pleasantly surprised that the cars are really not losing much time at all, maybe a second at the most, whereas the WeatherTech cars seem to be losing a lot more in terms of tire degradation. So I think they're trying to equalise the stints here. And Paul Holton, however, for Team TGM, staying at now, and he will lead the race as we complete 23 laps.
Ooh, there might be a penalty coming to the number 17 Unitronic JDC Miller Audi, because the tech official was actually grabbing at the bits of carbon that the crew was attempting to pull loose themselves, saying, nah, they're still hanging down a little bit. By the way, the sound behind me was the sound of two Porsches going by on the racetrack. Both the Riley Porsche and the Porsche ahead of it, the RS1 Porsche from Trent Hinman, beat out the Mia McLaren. So we did have a change as far as second position was concerned on the racetrack. It's now Riley that have moved up the further position. Well, Riley Dickinson certainly has behind the wheel of the number 91. But I'm just interested in the amount of damage that was on that number 17 Unitronic Audi, because Chris Miller going off at Oak Tree after going off earlier today in qualifying at turn 3, there was a little bit of almost a shark bite remaining. It didn't look to me that bad, but the tech officials are talking it over.
VGRT, the VGRT TCR car at the moment caught up behind the McLaren as it comes out on cold Michelin tyres. That is the number 99 Morgan Burkhardt driven car, and at the moment that car, as I said, just being slowed down a wee bit until that McLaren gets up to speed. I'll give you the rundown of the TCRs in a moment. Bryson Morris is up to 4th overall, courtesy of not having stopped, of course, yet. Couple of notes. Riley Dickinson going well, has put that car's fastest lap of the race in a 55.3.
Yes.
Do want to point out though that Frank Depew did a 59.2 last time around. His best lap was a 57.2 in that car, and Moise Oreski's only doing a 58.3 at the front of the field. And the reason I point that out is that car's got no front splitter or rear diffuser. Incredible stuff. Into the pit lane for...
Yeah.
Go on, Jeremy.
The number 19 car, Rory van der Steur, brings that car in from the... well, he was living in 3rd position with all the other pit stops ahead of him. You mentioned there Riley Dickinson and him turning his best lap of the race, and indeed he did. I mean, he's now right with Trent Hinman, who's just turned his fastest lap in that number 28 car, or that number 28 car's fastest lap of the race, having taken over from Stephen McAleer. But those two cars are pretty much nose to tail right now. So it was a great pit stop by the number 91 team. They came into the pits about a couple of seconds behind the number 28 car, but right now on the road they're pretty much together.
Yeah, under half a second between them across the line.
Yeah.
Last time around. Paul Holton going long in the Aston Martin Vantage, the leading car in the championship as we come into this Virginia is for Racing Lovers Grand Prix, the anti-penultimate round of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, as we head into the important parts of the season. In TCR, Bryson Morris has got plenty of room between himself and Mark Wilkins, something like 10 seconds or thereabouts, and now up to 30. He might yet lead this race, because in comes TGM, the driving research number 46. Let's go down to Shea Adam to describe this pit stop.
It's a very smooth driver change from Paul Holton over to Matt Plum. It took a little bit longer than one would expect, but it's a little bit awkward because they have to run around the refueling catch can man, and so it's a little bit further to go before you can open the door and actually get to the driver of the car. They've managed to do that fluidly. The fuel is still going on, but the tire change has now been completed. Car drops off the air jacks. Refueler repositions himself to make sure that he is giving it his all, and staring over at the catch can on the other side of the car to see when to pull back, when the car has had enough. Now it's clear to go. Perfect timing from Matt Plum. He too comes out behind the two Porsches.
That's a good point, Shea, that you've made that as the car's going through on the track. The leader is the Baby Bull Racing number 44, Moise Oreski. He's heading up into Oak Tree, but of course he's not yet stopped. So what we're actually looking at is the battle behind him. Tom Collingwood, also in a Porsche 718 GT4 RS, has not stopped. But then, in 5th and 6th at the moment, with the TCRs in front of them, are the two other Porsches which have stopped, that being the number 28 pole-sitting RS1, now driven by Trent Hinman, the red, white and black car, and Riley Dickinson in the black and gold, Kelly Moss racing with Riley, the number 91 car. In the TCRs, Bryson Morris I think he will lead the race here. He'll be scored as the leader of the race here when Moise Uretsky pulls into the pit lane, because those TCR cars, Jeremy, can go the better part of an hour, and they've probably still got 6 or 7 minutes to run, at least.
Yeah, well, if you can get over an hour, then they can do it on just one pit stop. But certainly Bryson Morris has been a clinic that he's put on here. He's now more than 13 seconds ahead of Mark Wilkins. Boy, that's saying something. This young man from Tennessee having the responsibility of qualifying the car this weekend. It'll be Taylor Hagler, two-time series champion, who will take over from here. He goes, of course, with Michael Lewis. But this has been a fine run by Bryson Morris. Just an excellent performance by him all the way around. This is the first time he's qualified the car, puts it on the pole position, and looking to better their best result of the season for that pair, which so far has been a 4th place finish. That was Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Been consistent around about the top 4 or 5, but looking for that first win.
Another 158, a low 158 for Moise Uretsky, his best lap of 1:56.1 in that bright yellow, red and blue, number 44. Just going round Oak Tree at the moment for the Baby Bull Racing. He's got that car dialed in perfectly. It's flat drifting, 4-wheel drifting through the uphill S's, the snake, and then up into turns, 7, 8 and 9, I suppose you would call them, before you get into the tricky south bend at turn 10 in that dip. The car seems to be going exactly where Moise Uretsky wants to go. Now coming up to the awesome last section of the circuit. I think he's pulling over to the right. Is he here to come in the pit lane? No, he stays out another lap. This will be lap 27 for that car. So now gone 43 minutes plus the formation and 2 pace laps.
Okay, he's having fun. He's a team owner and he's having fun. And he's leading the race.
Why would you not stay out? Yeah, absolutely. It's official now that the Simpson Motorsport Porsche is out of the race. That is now an official retirement. That was a run-off track and some overheating. They tried to clear it out and sent it out, threw some water at it. Didn't sort things out. Left about a litre of water on the pit lane, says Ms. Adam down there in the pit lane. Fastest lap of the race, by the way, 1:54.436, set by Trent Hinman a couple of laps ago. He did a 54.7 last time around, so he's backing that up. Riley Dickinson hasn't been able to stay with him once the tyres came up to temperature and pressure, and has dropped a couple of seconds off. He was 54.8 last time around, so didn't lose much last time around, but we're seeing some of the other cars behind starting to put in their best laps of the race as BGB comes into the pit lane for their first pit stop. And now this is a significant stop for the TCRs as Sam Baker is into the pit lane for Baker Racing. He was right up the front, remember, before he went off at the far end of the circuit up at the Oak Tree corner.
It was still third.
And third when they came in. Yeah, absolutely. And Shea Adam saying that wasn't the easiest of pit stop for that car, Shea.
they're still there. They are still in their box, still trying to do the driver change and the front tire change. Unfortunately, the air jack looked very reluctant to actually function, and it took about 30 seconds before the car actually lifted off of its Michelin tires. Now, waiting on the driver change to complete, it looks like the refueling is now complete, but the driver change door is still open, so they are losing time with this pit stop.
And at the front of the field, semi-significant here, the carbon machine, which could stop now if it wanted to. It's done its time for Sean McAllister. It's just actually taken one of its 3 laps so that it was down, back off the leader, and has pulled away. Now, that's off the current leader, not off the cars that will assume the lead, but they also stop as well, don't forget.
Was that number 44
that was
car
on
full
pace.
speed at that last shot? I'm not so sure.
I'm looking at the lap time. It was a 59.5. He hasn't run it out of fuel, has he?
Yeah, no,
yes, he has.
I thought so. Just a glimpse as we cut away from that shot. I thought the car was going slowly. Oh, no.
1 lap too many. I am guessing that is out of fuel. Well, that is great news, actually, for... Now, who hasn't stopped? Get into pit lane. Moisey, get into pit lane. Oh, no, it's Moisey's that stopped, excuse me.
Yes.
So, no, there's nobody who's going to benefit in GS. I tell you what, though, this is great for Sean McAllister, because he's going to get the wave bike, because he's ahead of Trent Hinman. So he will make up a lap. Excellent stuff, having just passed the car that was in the lead. And Moisey's trying to get that car going. What a disaster for Baby Bull Racing. I think that car's gone 1 lap too long, Jeremy.
I fear you might be right, John. Yes, it was pushing the envelope there, 53, 54, or 55 minutes they'd done. That is about the limit of these cars. And yeah, whether he'd missed the call to come in, or whether
he's going again.
He's got it going again. Wow.
They may have a scavenge pump. They may have a secondary pump. So we may have unfairly pointed the fickle finger of fuel economy at them. Now, he can't change driver here, but he could come in for emergency service and put 5 seconds of fuel in the car, and should do. He's only dropped down to 5th position.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do. No, actually can't have. He must have dropped down further than that. Yeah. But he's still on the lead lap, Jeremy.
I think he is.
Yeah, just ahead of Frank Depew. Oh, he's shaking it as if he's worried. Pushing again. And... oh, I think it's out again. Frank Depew has gone round him because I think he's now dead stick. If he can get to the top of the roller coaster, he might be able to roll it into the pit lane, and that's where he is now. Car will pick up speed. Now, Frank Depew will have called the team and said, am I allowed to go by this 44 car? They will have asked race control. What I didn't see was anybody diving into the pit lane to try and get their pit stop done.
I think the yellow was already out at that stage.
There will be no pass around. Yeah, you're right. He's in. He's into the pit lane. Now, Aretsky into the pit lane, and he is one of the first pit boxes, so he doesn't have to go too far down. Let's take a BDO pit lane report. This can only be a short emergency service.
They are counting on the wall. Perfect. Now, will the car have enough energy left in it to be able to get going, or is the heat soaked too much? Is there not enough that the pickup pump can actually manage to get? Well, it doesn't sound great, and Moisey is still wiggling it in the fast lane of the pit lane. No, he's not got any forward momentum, and he's actually putting the brake lights on down by one of the pit officials. I wonder if maybe he's going to try and do a hard reset. Yep. fires it up again, gets moving once again. I don't think he should go back out on the racetrack, though.
I think what he's done, I think he's going to... Well, I think what he did there was turned off the emergency pump and turned it back onto the main pump. And he may have to go back onto the emergency pump again. It is still ticking over. No, stopped at the end of the pit lane. The safety car. Now he's got it going. He's got it going. Now, if he gets his foot down now, he's at the end of the pit lane. There should be a green light there, or at least no red light. And he's got to pit. He's going to turn hard right into... There's a access point. Oh, he's gone past that. He's on the grass. Safety car is at the top of the hill. Pits are open for the GS cars. And this is manna from heaven, because from here, with under 59 minutes to go, everybody will splash to the end of the race. Let's hear how it goes with our BDO pit lane reporter, Shea Adam.
And that's exactly what everyone is doing. RS1 is in for a splash. We've got both of the Turner Motorsports BMWs coming in for a splash, and left side tires. Left side tires also going on to the number 91 Porsche from Kelly Mosworth Riley. Splash of fuel only for the 59. That is the Core Motorsports Ford Mustang. Splash of fuel only for the 46 Team TGM. And RS1 leaving his box but getting jumped by the 46 that they are chasing in the championship. The last two cars to leave that would have been fuel and tires. Oh no, the number 95 Turner Motorsport BMW that I was just going to mention took out its sister's tire. Now that will be a double whammy, because that will be a penalty for the 96 for leaving pit equipment in the box. That will be a penalty for the 95 for hitting pit equipment. Turner just took themselves out with both cars. Oh.
And that wheel and tyre combination is on the far side of the pit lane towards the racetrack steel fence. Already being pointed out to the drivers coming through. Rather surprised that Sean McAllister came in that time and didn't go around to get a lap back in the number 39.
Fuel, probably fuel, John.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, yes. There's still 2 laps down. I mean, there's no way you're going to come back from 2 laps down there. So I think it's kind of a moot point, but really unfortunate for the Baby Bull Porsche. He'd done a nice job. Moisey was running extremely well early on in the top 7 or 8. Slipped back a little bit, but was running a good, consistent pace. And hats off to him. And it's a shame it's all gone wrong for them. And is it going to go wrong for the Turner Motorsport BMW? We'll have to wait and see what the call is from pit lane. Look, at this point in the race, John, we've got 57 minutes to go. That's a stretch to get to the end from here. It depends. We're going to have another couple of laps of yellow, certainly, but it's certainly going to have to stretch their fuel to get there from here without needing another splash. And there's only a couple of or 3 or 4 cars did not come in during this caution period in GS. Michael De Quesada in number 69, MIA McLaren, Chad McCumbee in the Ford, car number 13, and also Will Lambros in the Skip Barber Aston Martin, that's still on the lead, and Spencer Pompelli in the BGB Porsche. They're all going to have to stop, even number 38 car, which is best off on fuel. That was only in 3 laps ago, but I don't think even Spencer can save that much fuel to get to the end from here without needing a splash and go, John.
Pits are open for TCR. Hello to Carol Bring in Monterey, California. Buy one, get one free penalty for Turner Motorsport, it would appear, she says there. Hello to Dave Alcock in the UK, to Right Turn Lover in the centre of Europe, in Switzerland, as the pits are up for TCR, and we have some business for our BDO pit lane reporter.
No rest at all during this pit stop sequence because it looks like almost all of them are coming in. Bryson Morris, who I definitely want to talk to, leads the way in the number 77 BHA Hyundai. That will be fuel and front tires, and handing over to Taylor Hagler. We've got Mark Wilkins in the number 98, handing over to Mason Filippi. Front wheels for that car as well. The 33 is in. Robbie Wickens getting out, and that will be Harry Gottsacker taking over. Finally got a race win this year. Really happy to see that taking place. All three of those Hyundais, fuel and tires. We've got fuel and tires for the mighty Alpha as well. Dr. Will Talley done with his stint, handing over to Tim Lewis. And hi, by the way, to Duncan's mom. I know that she likes to listen in. The number 93, Duncan the engineer for the number 5. The number 93 is in. That Honda is being taken over by Carl Whitmer after Dai Yoshihara started it. And we've got the number 99 Hyundai, and that's from VGRT. It is now Tyler Gonzalez, who has taken over behind the wheel, and he's getting a little bit of track experience now to help him prepare for his Mazda race coming up. That car, the first one to go, they did a short fuel and they did not take tires. Everybody else is still stationary in their boxes. The 93 Honda beats out the 5 Alpha, but is way behind the 77 Hyundai of Taylor Hagler.
Yeah, but it was the number 98. Mason Filippi brought that car in for Brian Hurd at Autosport. That's the car that's got out quickest. So that is a turnaround in the pit lane, I reckon. Mason Filippi, sorry, taking that car out of the pit lane. I reckon that's a change of lead in the pit lane. Effectively, that number 77 car had led all the way. Didn't quite lead the lap because of the yellow on the overall standings. And in GS...
Same thing in GS, John. The number 46 car got out ahead of the number 28 car. If you remember on that first sequence of pit stops, number 28 car was in after 22 laps. Number 46 car did another 3 laps, so needed 3 laps less worth of fuel this time around. And that, I think, has proved decisive. And that's why I was surprised to see the number 28 car in relatively quickly. And we have to see whether that backfires on them. But, you know, there's still a long way to go. Of course, we've still got 53 minutes remaining from here, and to say there was no pass run, the number 55, 52 and 17, I would have thought should have got the pass around there, because they are, I think, a lap behind.
There was no pass around.
Yeah, I know, but
there was
why?
no pass around. Yeah.
I don't understand
not
why.
Sure.
Because they had not been lapped by their class leader. So,
right.
But now they are a lap down to them all. They might get this back when everybody else came into the pit lane, but that's not really the point, because they've still got to stop themselves. That was kind of weird, to be honest.
The lead in GS is Michael Di Casada, Motorsport in Action. Here comes Chad McCumbee out of second place, leaving it as late as he dared to splash the fuel. On the McCumbee Macalia, and now question, will there be tyres for that Mustang as well? There's only one way to find that out, and that's to ask our BDO pit lane reporter.
Yes, there are tires. They are doing left sides only for the stock car specialist, as he used to be, Chad McCumbee, now just sports car specialist in general, making sure that the hood is fastened down properly. Well, they're going to check the engine first while they've got a moment to look at everything. The air filter is looking beautiful, so they don't have to worry about that. And now, let's see, they've got time to look at everything. This is actually a good opportunity. This car, remember, which had a slight off-track excursion very early on in the race, they're making sure that everything is clear, no grass anywhere that it shouldn't be, and that Chad McCumbee can take it full rich to the end of the race. They did make sure that every single drop of fuel possible could get in. They brim-filled it. Now the hood won't close. They need the Bondo tape to try and seal it back down. Not seeing the safety car lights yet. Now they managed to pull the tape apart and making sure that it goes along the seam. Beautiful job by the MMR crew, have to say. I'm pretty impressed by that work. Chad knocks it in gear, basically telling his team that's good enough. And does a very nice forward burnout.
You can't beat Coyote V8, can you? That just sounded absolutely incredible. That engine sent to Malcolm Wilson in Cumbria, in the northwest of the UK, M Sport. I think Malcolm does the breathing on the engines himself, but his company, M Sport, long-time ties with Ford in World Rally, most likely in sports cars involved with Bentley, of course. They are doing all of the engine build and tune for the, it's a 5.4, isn't it, by the time it comes back from them. And what a great sound that Curti engine makes. Now, we have had, that was Mikey Taylor in the number 17 Unitronic machine going through the pits whilst we're still under yellow, so that cannot be a penalty. We'll get some, once we get through, where they could do emergency service if he's got a puncture or something like that. They could do it. The safety car lights are out, so the Toyota GR Supra, in fact, actually, they can do whatever they want to that car. What am I saying? The pits are open for everyone. So we're coming back to green though this time, so they will not want it to be very quick, very long. Left front tyre for Denny DuPont on the Hyundai Elantra number 76. That's why he's just come out of the pit lane and made another run down, his second run down pit lane. So they haven't come together, have they? Is that the problem? I wonder if they've come together behind the safety car. Let's go back to green, racing. For a moment there, I thought it was the safety car in second place because it's the very similar stripes on the Skip Barber Racing Aston Martin as there are on the safety car. 1, 2, 3, 4 across is diving down the inside. Riley Dickinson in the black and gold. Riley with Kelly Moss Porsche has absolutely skyrocketed through that gaggle of cars, and oh, that's the championship leader turned around. The championship leader is turned around and is in the fence. 2 Aston Martins. It's the Van der Steur Racing multicoloured car as well as the 46 Mac Plum, who restarted in 5th, getting tapped from the rear in the short shoot between 2 and 3. But undoubtedly the restart belonged to Riley Dickinson. He's up into 3rd. And what a restart to that race as they head up the hill, trying to work out what's happened behind them. We've got both of the cars involved in that incident at turn 3 moving again. So I think we'll stay green here. Now, we will have to pick the bones out of that. Scott Andrews, in fact, is off the track. I don't think that car's going any further. Here come the penalties. The 39 BMW will have to go through working outside of its box. It was the Skip Barber machine, I think, that started that off, Will Lambros. But that will have to be a decision for race control. Also running over equipment for Dean Baker and Baker Racing. They'll be back down. And the championship leader is moving, but only just here. This is huge for the championship, Jeremy Shaw.
It is, and you know, I'm not so sure the 16 car did anything wrong there. It was kind of where it was, and did the number 46 car pull across its nose?
Well,
let's have another look.
Yeah. Well, that'll have to be a decision for race control. The Van der Steur Aston Martin hasn't got beyond the left hook. So under yellow, let's take a breath. The other championship leader, the JDC Miller car, remember, had a bad start to their race. They're running in 8th position now. Let's take an update on the TCR championship leader with Shea Adam.
This definitely will make you feel sick as well, because it left a pit in my stomach. They had received information that they had entered a closed pit. That's why they waived Mikey Taylor to keep going through. They had not entered a closed pit. They should have been allowed to do the service.
Well, why didn't they get the waive around there? That's the bigger question, I think, to be honest. Because
it came up really early.
Should have done. Yeah.
Well, it came up really early on the race control screen that there would be no pass around on that previous full course yellow. Now this of course is going to be a short yellow because it was within 15 minutes of the previous one. Oh, front suspension damage on the championship leader. Front suspension damage on the championship leader. This is, they're going to have to replace the steering arm there. Right, see if we can pick the bones out of this. It was 3 cars going into turn 3 where there was only room for 2. I don't think anybody needs to. Well, look, I think you could call on any one of the 3, none of the 3, or all of the 3.
No, well,
to be
it
quite
certainly
honest.
wasn't the number 19 car was a
Van der Steur
completely
racing
innocent
car.
victim.
Yeah,
that was a completely
correct.
innocent victim. He was just tangled up when those other 2 got together. But you're right. I mean, I don't think the number 16 car was out of position there, and there they are. There's a bit of contact at that point. But at that point, number 46 car kind of turns into the corner, but number 16 is already there, I'm afraid. Unlike Matt Plum to make any kind of a misjudgment, but.
It's 3 cars wide. There's a side-by-side bump between the 46 Aston and the 16 Aston.
Yeah.
They are cars, if you will, from right to left. They are cars 2 and 3. The car on the outside, the number 1 car, wasn't involved in that. That was the 19 car. Behind the wall for the championship leader. With this and 2 more races to go in the championship season, they've entered a closed pit, so they'll have to do a drive-through anyway, but they do not want to risk any further damage to that car. I understand that. They'll have to do a drive-through when they come back out. That will be a right front suspension, or at least a steering arm, or maybe a bottom arm change on that car. They'll take whatever else they will, and they will finish. Well, they'll be, let me see, they will probably finish in 18th position in the class because of the problems that other cars have had. Before we go back to green, let's head down to the pit lane, and one of the undoubted stars of the first half of the race, the driver who started from pole position in TCR, is with Shea Adam.
Bryson, it's very rare that anyone can drive away from Mark Wilkins, especially in equal machinery, but you just put your head down and cleared out. How was that opening stint for you?
Yeah, it was a really good stint. Obviously, we had green flag running up till the very end, so I was able to just keep my head down. You know, we're obviously trying to save the tires as well, and I was just driving under the limit of the tire, but our car was set up fantastically. This number 77 Brian Herta crew has done amazing this past weekend, and yeah, the car was super good to drive, and it was a really good stint.
This has been a very good track for Hyundai before, so do you feel like when you rolled off the truck, you already had a car that was capable of winning?
Of course. I mean, we feel like that every weekend. You know, we always have at least one car that's very strong, and I have good history here as well, so I came into the weekend with very high hopes, and I think so far we're doing really good.
What's been the biggest advantage of being a member of this team running with so many cars under the same tent?
Well, it's like you said, we have so many cars. We have so many data points to go off of. We can try different things with different cars and see what works. And then there's obviously the very experienced guys, you know, that are running the team, and then also that are driving the cars. So it goes a long way to have the right people with you.
Awesome job in that opening stint. Can't wait to see what you do at Indy.
Thank you.
Official now that Moisey Aretsky's baby bull machine has officially retired. So that was a very costly issue for them. If that was just fuel, then that was costly. It may have been that in trying to pick up the last of the fuel pumps don't like to run without fuel going through them, because that's what effectively lubricates them, the fuel going through them. Might actually have burned out a fuel pump in trying to get that car back to the pit lane. So the JMF Motorsports Mercedes did not start the race after a problem for them in qualifying and them submitting some wrong paperwork to IMSA. They would have had to start at the back of the grid. They elected not to start the race at all. Since then, we've had problems for the number 67 Porsche Sebring Simpson Motorsport. That car with overheating. The number 67, as I say, that car is out of the race. And the latest car that we've heard with problems is that baby bull Porsche 718 GT4, the 44. The Van der Steur Racing Scott Andrews machine. Well, Scott Andrews has ended up in almost exactly the same place that he did, was it last season or the season before, when he was having a battle for position at the end of the race. And I would suspect that that Van der Steur Racing Aston is going to be out as well. In the pits, in the paddock, Team TGM number 46, the championship leader, is being worked on to get that car back in. The other major news in terms of the championship in TCR is that Mikey Taylor had problems, or at least the number 17 car had problems early on, and that's the Audi, if not runaway championship, comfortable championship for Chris Miller. And that car has dropped down, still on the lead lap in TCR, 8th position now for Mikey Taylor to fight back. No further action on the coming together of the Team TGM 46 Aston Martin and the Van der Steur Aston Martin number 19. So clearly race control seeing that as a racing incident, and no blame attached at the moment to any driver. Pits are open for all cars, but we will be coming back green this time. Jeremy Shaw, drama laid upon drama with just under 39 minutes to go.
Yeah, and how ironic the three Aston Martins should get together there. I mean, one of them leading, you know, a healthy championship lead coming into this weekend, 200 points over Stephen McAleer and Trent Hinman, who are now in second position. This extended yellow, of course, is great news for Spencer Pumpelly, who made that car. Tom Collingwood stayed out longer than anybody else on that first stint, other than the car that didn't make it back to the pit lane. That'd be number 44. And I thought they were going to be short of fuel, but this yellow is long enough that I think this should work into their favour. I think Spencer Pumpelly can get to the end now from here. And it's going to be three Porsches at the front of this field. We've seen how effective the Porsche is this weekend at VIR, and that's going to be quite some battle between Spencer Pumpelly, who hasn't won one of these races for way too long, in his mind, Trent Hinman and Riley Dickinson. And here we are going back to green with what, how long to go? 28 minutes?
38 minutes.
18 minutes, 38 minutes, right.
38 minutes, yeah. Green flag, restarting. Yeah, Spencer Pumpelly pitted just under half an hour ago, but has only had half a lap of green flag racing, and it's side by side with the two Porsches into the horseshoe. The BGB car, Spencer Pumpelly, the sort of purpley greeny grey car, is leading. That's the number 38, and that is a battle for position. These cars now, well, yeah, will go to the finish with all of that yellow flag that Jeremy Shaw's just mentioned here in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre. So this is a battle for position. Robin Liddell, wingless wonder in the number 71, going round the outside and making up positions. He's got past Will Lambros, who restarted in 7th. Robin started in 10th. I think Will's dropped a couple, but we'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th. I think he might be in 8th position now, Robin Liddell. We'll see as they come through the next timing point. There's an awful lot of places here where you need a slippery car, but there are a couple of places where you do actually need the car to turn as well. This isn't a drag strip, but Robin is punching out the corners really well indeed. Also fighting back, Daniel Morad for Winward Racing. They've not been on it in the first part of the race, and Daniel's following Robin Liddell through the traffic. Whoa. Side by side as the Aston Martins again going head to head.
Yeah, a perfect indication once again of the problems that the Mercedes have had this season. They just don't have the straight line speed. That was a graphic illustration of it then. Two Aston Martins dragging past Daniel Morad on that straightaway. Wow. That Team TGM Aston Martin there, by the way, John, I think that's Hugh Plum, who's a lap down to everybody else. It's number 64, not number 46.
Excuse me. Yeah, indeed so. So heading out down to turn 1 again. So
It was the best lap of the race for Spencer Puppelli last time around, at 155.807. So we'll see whether he can hold on to that lead in that BGB Porsche.
we've got the double penalty of the 95 and 96 Turner BMWs, leaving equipment unattended for the 96 and the 95, hitting the equipment that both will have to come through. Robbie Foley has already been into the pit lane. This is important news from back in the pit lane, where, back in the paddock, should I say, where the 46, this is the championship leading car, is it not, Jeremy? Coming back out from behind the wall. That was the car that was involved with Matt Plum earlier on for Team TGM.
Yeah, and that could be critical. I mean, he's come out one position ahead. He's still a lap ahead, I think, of the number 39 Carbon car. So he's running in 14th position. No, he isn't. He's behind the Carbon car.
No, he's not.
Because he's lost. Yeah, no, he's behind him. He's back in 16th position, and he's going to need. Yeah, he's 3 laps behind. I thought that was weird. Again, I was looking at the wrong TGM car. He's going to need help from other people falling out of the race to improve upon that 17th position, 16th position, excuse me, in that number 46 car.
Just got to get that car to the end now and pick up whatever points there are. But what an opportunity for RS1, currently in 2nd position in the championship and 2nd on the track at the moment. Now, Trent Hinman never one to pass up the opportunity for a race for a victory. But Jeremy Shaw, right now, surely RS1 have got to take what they're getting here and pull back the points on the championship leader. Trent cannot afford to end this race in the guardrail.
No, absolutely right. I mean, he's going to. If he finishes 2nd, he will score 320 points. If the number 46 car finishes in 16th, that'll be 150 points. So that's a 170-point swing. If he were to win the race, however, that would be a 200-point swing, which is exactly what the deficit was coming into this weekend, and they would then lead on countback. But you're absolutely right. He's got to be not greedy here. Last 2 laps by Spencer Puppelli were within a 100th of a second each of them. So he's driving at a good pace right now, and he's going to. And Spencer Puppelli is never an easy guy to get past, particularly when he's leading a motor race.
Now down to Riley Dickinson in 3rd place. He's holding on, and in 4th place. And what a run for Core Motorsports and the GT4, by the way. First non-Porsche. We will be looking for the Michelin moment of the race in each of the classes here. More problems for the number 52 after its drive through earlier on. Dean Baker and the Baker racing car, that's moving slowly at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that. It was up at turn 8 at the top of the hill that it was reported as going slowly. And it has continued, however. Top 4 pretty much together.
Yeah. And another best lap of the race there for the race leader, 55.56 for Spencer Puppelli, so he's hanging out here as much as he possibly can. And Luca Mars, as you say, it's been a great day for Luca. He's already won a VP Racing Challenge event earlier this day by a country mile, and now here he is, having finished 4th place last time out at Road America, running 4th again here, but right, as you say, with those 3 leaders in that Ford Mustang car number 59.
So Spencer Puppelli in the front of the race as the Baker Audi is going to pull into the secondary pit lane on the back straight. That's smart from Dean. Thank you very much for doing that. 155.5 by the leader. 155 flat last time around was the fastest lap of the race by the wingless wonder Aston Martin Vantage of Robin Liddell, who's up into 6th position after that yellow for the championship leader, ending up damaged, but that car is back on the track. This is the Aston Martin number 46, which came into contact with Scott Andrews in the VDSR, the Van der Ster racing car, and that car had to be recovered by the flatbed, and that car's not going any further. It's already back at its paddock area. Easy up. That's a shame for the 52 team. Liddell, a 55. Go ahead, Jeremy. 55.0 for Liddell. Fastest thing on the track.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Mind you, is it going to meet minimum weight?
Well, is he going to keep the front tyres in particular under it as well? Yeah, that's the other point.
55.57 for race leader Spencer Penny. Once again, within 100th of a second of his previous lap. Superb.
Well, Aaron Taylor has just done a 54.9 for Archangel Aston Martin. So that car coming alive as well. He's actually a second behind Robin at the moment. What happened to Daniel Morad? Oh, of course, he got bumped back. He was trying to come through, but that Mercedes just doesn't have the straight line speed. It's Porsche's 1, 2, 3 with the 718 GT4 RS of BGB, RS1 and Kelly Moss-Smith Riley. So the green, grey and carbon car leads from the red, white and black car and the gold and black machine. Then the unmistakable silhouette of a Ford Mustang is Luca Mars for Core Motorsport, the 59 car. That's the white and multicoloured car in 4th position.
Yeah, and not far behind him is another Ford Mustang. That's Gregory Learfouche in the Stephen Cameron Racing orange and blue Ford Mustang. He's made excellent progress since the restart. Took the restart the original restart in 9th, and he's running 5th right now, and he's actually been quicker than the leaders on the last couple of laps, fractionally.
Motorsports in action. The Mia McLaren has not been able to challenge at the front since we had the pit stops. That was the car that was running, remember, up at the sharp end of the field. The number 69 ran as high as second. Let's take a BDO pit lane report. Shea Adam has some news.
Just checked in with the team, and they are reporting that Michael says he thinks there's something wrong with the car, but he can't diagnose what. Remember, this is the zombie car that was rebuilt based off of 2 broken cars. This poor team, which has had enough bad luck for the weekend. Come on, little McLaren, let's just make it home at this point.
Had the pace earlier on, really did. Hello to Alexander Organ, who is just back from a fabulous wedding, now with family celebrating again with steak and some bubbles. Alex, I'm pleased you had a good time at the wedding. Settled down for some Saturday night circuit racing for you in the UK on our speedy Saturday. Dave Alcock, oh, this is so true. Trent Hinman, I know it's easy for us to say, but needs to fight every instinct and settling for position. Surely has to be a bit more Prost and a little less Senna for the sake of the championship, and that'll not be easy for a fighter like Hinman. You're spot on there, Dave, at IMSA Radio if you want to get in touch with us here in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre. Jeremy.
Change of lead in TCR. We've got now the number 99 car for Tyler Gonzalez. The Victor Gonzalez Racing Team Hyundai has got ahead of Mason Philippi in the car number 98, the Brian Herder Autosport machine. And right behind them is Carl Whitmer in the Montreal Motorsport Honda Civic, and Harry Gottsacker in number 33 Hyundai as well. 4-car train, actually make that a 5-car train with Tim Lewis in the Alpha, the winner last time out in that lead battle as well in TCR.
A battle not for position going down the back straight now is the Mia McLaren. We've just been talking about Michael de Quesada. He's dropped 4 seconds away from the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th ahead of him, but he's just put his fastest, or the car's fastest lap of the race in. He has got the number 39, Jeff Westphal, who has just put his car's fastest lap of the race in as well. But remember, they're a couple of laps back after that early problem, very early problem when the car wouldn't start at the start of the race. And it was a very, very smooth manoeuvre indeed. Beautiful. Going into the first part of Oak Tree at the top of the hill. That is not an easy has to make in any car, but a front-wheel drive car, where the front wheels are being asked to stop, turn and accelerate all at the same time in very quick succession at least. That was a super move, and at the front of the field it's two Porsches side by side. The championship leader for a moment got alongside the BGB car of Spencer Pumpelly in the early part of the lap coming out of turn 3. Now they're heading up the hill, and the Snake, he's had to drop back into line, and that's allowed Riley Dickinson to smell a little bit of blood here, and Luca Mars in the much bigger Ford is right there as well. And here comes Gregory Leofouge in the Stephen Cameron Racing orange and blue. This fighting at the front of the field is closing it all up. We're going to have 7 for 3 spots on the podium within the next lap or so.
Yes, we are, John, and right behind Leofouge is Robert Liddell, and then Aaron Thielitz in that Archangel car number 88 that Todd Coleman had those problems with right before the pit stops, but that car is right back in the picture as well. And that number 88 car, that's been on the podium 3 of the last 4 races, including the victory that car had at Mid-Ohio's as well. So that number 88 car is always fast.
Incredible action through the field as we anticipated, and Robert Liddell is not out of this for a podium finish or better yet. They're nearly together, that top 7. He's the 6th of the top 7 in a car, remember, that's lost pretty much all of its front splitter. There's a tiny bit on the right front and all of the rear diffuser. The guys at Rebel Rock Racing had to pull off the underbody at the back and the area underneath the engine as well to get that car to continue to run, and they did it in double quick time. There's damage at the back of the Turner car as well. Now, which of the Turner cars is that? It's the second of the Turner cars, which makes that the number 95 car of Robert McGuinness. They've both had to come in to pit lane. Left rear, something trailing behind the left rear Michelin that I can see as they go down the front straight.
Wow, this has been a fascinating motor race, and boy, it's game on at the front of the field here. As you said, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars nose to tail, and pick any of one of those that can possibly win this race. Tremendous racing here, but Luca Mars has got himself up in the 3rd position, hasn't he? Ahead of Riley Dickinson.
Yeah, and also Gregory Leofouge is ahead of Robert Liddell as well.
Which he was.
No, that was always the case. That was always the case. Yes, indeed.
Just.
You can just imagine getting on the radio to Robin and say, right, when you're in the traffic, now just be careful when you get behind the cars because you'll lose your downforce. And Robin will be going back in his Scottish brogue saying, what downforce would that be? Exactly. So new lead in TCR, new 3rd place in GS, Porsche, Ford Porsche.
Yeah, you're right, John. And Tyler Gonzalez, he's just had his best lap of the race, having taken the lead from Mason Philippi in that Victor Gonzalez racing team. Number 99, Tyler Gonzalez, turning his best lap of the race at 57.8. And he's stretched out that lead. He's taken advantage, I think, of the fact that the Turner Motorsport BMW Robbie Foley kind of held up just a little bit his pursuers in TCR.
The front of that Aston Martin and the rear of that Aston Martin looks like a slot car that somebody has been firing into the dining room table legs. It really does. It certainly looks a bit pre-loved at the moment, but Robin Liddell, and in fairness, Frank Depew, I mentioned before we did the pit stop for the driver change that Frank was doing a really good job compared to his best lap time. Fabulous circuit, great racing, 17 corners, the ups and downs, the lefts and rights of Virginia International Raceway in this green and pleasant land just outside Danville. And what a racetrack this is, what a circuit. The car's getting light at 1 or 2 places. If you're here at the track, some great places to take photographs, and there's not much to get in the way of your long lenses either, to be honest. If you're joining us on IMSA TV, on the international feed, thank you very much, wherever you are in the world. Just coming up to 10 o'clock in Central Europe, 9 o'clock in the UK or thereabouts. Hello to Steve Tadman. Some great camera angles, he says. Yeah, absolutely. Point. And thank you to our highly experienced camera operators and all of the hard-working team at the NASCAR Broadcast Hub at Concord, North Carolina. What a stunning place that is. I was there last week. Well, top 8 now almost together as Archangel Motorsports, Aaron Telitz is the last car. No, that's the top 7 still. The green, the lighter green of the Aston Martins, and for the moment that's your top 7. Michael de Quesada in the McLaren is another 4 seconds further back. Trent Hitman has curbed his enthusiasm at the moment. That's C-U-R-B-E-D rather than K-E-R-B-E-D, although he's doing a bit of K-E-R-B-E-D curbing anyway, going up the hill as he flicks the car over the serrated edges of the track.
Wow. What
a great drive this is by Spencer Pumpelly, holding off Trent Hinman as those 2 leading Porsches drift their way through. It really is as though the car are floating through the top of the hill there at turns 7, 8A, 8B and then turn 9. That's a fabulous place to see how a car is working. Stephen McAleer is watching his RS1 teammate putting as many moves as he can on the leader, but at the moment the championship lead, which was 200 points going into this weekend for the number 46 Team GM, it would be Team GGM Aston, it would go down to 30 points. And out from behind the wall, the Van der Ster Racing Aston Martin. So I didn't think we were going to see that car come back, but we have, and it's gone back into the race. So the Van der Ster Racing, the second car that was involved, that car is back out. Right, Jeremy, who's your money on right here, right now?
Well, I like it. Spencer Pumpelly, when you give him the lead, he's going to be, as we said earlier on, he's going to be an awfully difficult guy to pass. He wants to win this race for himself and Tom Collingwood, who's been a super supporter of the sport over the last several years. Tom's had a second-place finish with Spencer before, but looking for the first win. Spencer's he won 14 times before in this championship, so he knows what winning is all about, and he's going to be a really, really difficult guy to get past. Again, just brilliant consistency from Spencer. His last 2 laps, 55.48, 55.53. Just love it from Spencer Pumpelly. He really is a master at that consistency game.
New fastest lap of
his fastest lap, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, good point that, John. Very good point. Carry on with that point.
TCR fastest lap is now in the hands of Carl Whitmer for the Montreal Motorsport Honda Civic, and he's within half a second of the lead of Tyler Gonzalez. So a Hyundai, a Honda Civic and a Hyundai at the front of the field, and it's tightening up there as well, Jeremy.
Yes, indeed it is. About 3 laps ago, Carl Whitmer got past Mason Filippi and immediately pulled out 2 seconds on him, closed that gap to Tyler Gonzalez, and as you say, set the fastest lap of the race as he did so. So it's game on also in TCR. Here is a look of it as Tyler Gonzalez is driving for all he's worth here. Victor Gonzalez, the team owner there, great character, wonderful character. Tyler Gonzalez looking for his first win in this championship, and Carl Whitmer behind him looking for his 3rd.
In the pit lane, the other team, TGM Aston, it's not been a great day for them. The Hugh Plum car in the pit. I mean, honestly, the team could park that car now and let the team car in one more lap. It'll pass it. It is scant reward, but championship, it could be really important. Another 10 points.
I'm sure they've done that on purpose, John. No doubt about it. I mean, number 64 car is out of contention here, so yeah, park it. Let the number 46 car make up another position in the class. Absolutely, I'm sure that's a strategic call by that team. And a sensible one.
Yeah, it's a team sport, and that is very much a team, with the Plum brothers split between the two cars, and of course Ted Giovannis overseeing all of it with his family. Carl Whitmer then still holding on to second place. The TCR's a front wheel drive, remember, 300 horsepower or thereabouts, and just they're flat drifting as well, four-wheel drifting through the faster corners up the hill. What a place to watch. The lodges on driver's left there, and the balcony's absolutely full, and that is a super place to watch motor racing. I'm sure there'll be some people on the track here on Monday. Pumpelly then. We've come down to the last 15 minutes of the race, and the top three for the moment have just broken away. Remember, we had seven cars. I think Robin Liddell's front Michelins are beginning to squeak a little bit. He's dropped a couple of seconds back from Gregory Leofouge. I'm not surprised the way he was driving them. He gave it his all. But he is struggling, particularly coming out of the left hook and then all the way to beyond the oak tree. The long sector 2 is where that car is losing time at the moment, and that's all about getting the front end of that car to turn. And the Gore 55 is in the wall. This is the bright opal fruit orange Gore Racing Audi. Eddie Gore behind the wheel. Also heard, I think, that number 19 was moving slowly. Scott Andrews was not up to speed in that Van der Steur Racing Aston Martin. Let's see if we can pick out where that was. I think he was up at turn 14 at the top of the hill. See if he comes back into the pit lane. Yes, he does. So all is not well with the Van der Steur Racing Aston Martin, and they're not going to make up any more laps, so they may just decide to park that car. Eddie Gore has managed to get the Audi RS3 TCR machine moving in the right direction, and I think it's all right. It's a little, the hood, the bonnet is just slightly proud on the right front of that car, but it's still fastened down, so he'll continue. And we can settle in watching a couple of great races for the last 13 minutes, with first and second in TCR absolutely together, coming in up the climbing S's now, and up to the top of the hill. The leader just beginning to get a little bit squirrely. Tyler Gonzalez dropping the right rear Michelin of his Hyundai onto the dirt. Both of the cars, the leading Hyundai and the Honda in second, the black, white and red Montreal Motorsport Group car, dropping as far across to the left-hand side out of the oak tree, using all of that runoff area. There's nothing between these two. Even in the draft, the Honda can't really drag up. Or can he? Pulls out to the left-hand side, gets a bit more air on the front of the car, maybe, but it wasn't quite the overlap. Now goes to the right-hand side at the top of the roller coaster, but can't get that one done there and drops back in. There is nothing between these two cars performance-wise, Jeremy. It's going to have to be pressure applied from behind by Carl Whitmer.
Yeah, and Carl Whitmer, you know, who did he drive for the last few years? Victor Gonzalez. So he's now trying. When Victor told Carl Whitmer he was going to switch to Hyundai, Carl's been a long time a Honda guy, and he went to stay with Honda. The Montreal Motorsport Group was formed, and he is the lead driver in that team, and he's now trying to take the wheel away from Victor Gonzalez racing team.
And the Gore Racing TCR that we saw moving off the track has been in and out of the pit lane, so they've dropped further back in the TCR standings. That means that the Unitronic JDC car, by the way, is now up to 7th position and will get an extra few points there. Meantime, the Hugh Plum Team TGM car has now... Oh, he went and did a lap, and then it's come back in again. So Matt Plum has not yet gone past it, but he will next time around. What a great battle at the front of TCR. 11 minutes to go. Oak Tree, red and white Hyundai from red, white and black Honda. This is the new shape Honda Civic, the TCR version of the Civic R, the FL5 as it's known. That car has got the fastest lap of the race, and this time did get a better exit from Oak Tree. Gets to the quarter panel on the left-hand side, gets to the front door, gets side by side, but can't get the overlap, and there's contact at the top of the hill, but they both continue. Robust, but they both continue. Have to be careful when you're doing that because the wheels on these cars have a lot of camber. The bottom end sticks out much more than the top, and you can get interlocking wheels. There was a little bit of a slide at the bottom of Hogpen from the leading car, but expertly held onto by Tyler Gonzalez. He's got bodywork damage to the left rear behind the wheel on the aerodynamic part of the wheel arch extension, the fender extension there down into turn one. It does look to me, Jeremy, that Tyler Gonzalez is just struggling bizarrely with rear grip on that car. Side by side for the lead in TCR at turn three. Now, can he do the cutback? Whitmer is trying to do that into the left hook. He'll get alongside now. Oh no, big defensive move by Tyler Gonzalez. That's fine. But now the inside of turn four, surely. No, there's not room there either. This is quality stuff from these two drivers.
And that was very respectful by, by Carl Whitmer there, because he could have really pushed the issue there, I think, on the right hand of that 4 and 5 there, and he saw that the number 99 car was a bit sideways, and he wanted to make sure there wasn't contact. He wants that pass when it comes, not if from his perspective, to be clean. I hope.
Yeah, I do think Tyler is just struggling a little more with the rear grip. I don't know. Yes, he's backing the car in there, which is super spectacular. But that means he's just a little bit slower on the exit, and that gives the Honda a little bit of a chance. Again, this is not a replay. It's exactly what happened last time, but he's further up the car, further back down the straight, and now noses ahead and is in the lead. Is in the lead for a moment, but can he hold it in the braking area at the top of the roller coaster? The track favours him first with the little left-hand kink, but he's gone wide. Gonzalez has gone wide, and Tyler Gonzalez goes through. So there was a pass by Whitmer, and then Gonzalez goes back through. Marvellous stuff. Everybody is entertained. Whitmer got through, went on to the marbles on the outside of the track, and just about kept all 4 Michelins on there. That was good moving, good driving again by both of them. Would have been easy to throw that car on the grass, and now again defensive driving from the VGRT driver in the red and white Hyundai into the horseshoe at turn 1, now to the kink at turn 2. There's no doubt that the Honda at this stage of the race has the grip, has the pace. And what's interesting to me, Jeremy, is that the two Hyundais in 3rd and 4th, Mason Filippi in the 98 and Harry Gottsacker, as we're side by side again coming through the left hook. And this time, almost a pass on the grass attempted there by Carl Whitmer. But even with all of this dicing at the front, we're not seeing Mason Filippi and Harry Gottsacker charging up to the back. I just wonder if the Hyundais are using their tyres a bit more in this latter part of the race.
Yeah, I mean, that gap back to 3rd position, it was 3.2 seconds. They cost them a few tenths of a second, these two leaders, but no more than that. And in fact, now the Gonzalez car, Tyler Gonzalez and Victor, by the way, no relation, but the youngster Tyler Gonzalez from Florida is doing just a fabulous job to hold off that Honda. We've seen how fast the Hondas have been this season and last, and they always seem to have problems at some stage, but this time Carl's done a really good job to look after the tyres on that Honda, and he is giving Tyler Gonzalez everything he can handle.
Ding, 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 seconds out, round number 4 as we head up to the top of the roller coaster again, and it's a carbon copy. The Honda gets through but doesn't get clear enough to take the line. This is super respectful racing. Nobody chopping in front of each other, no big moves. Victor Gonzalez Racing Team and Montreal Motorsport Group I don't know if any of them are watching the whole race or they just got their fingers over their eyes. We have just gone under 6 minutes to go, and it's side by side at turn 1, and then again the old over and under. By the way, at the front of the field, don't think that Spencer Pumpelly's cleared off. He's only 3/4 of a second to the good over Trent Hindman, who's got 3/10 over Luca Mars. So that's 38 Porsche, 28 Porsche from 59 Core Motorsports Ford Mustang. Then another 6/10 back to Riley Dickinson. Then a bit of a gap, or all of a second, to Gregory Leofouge. And Robin Liddell has pulled back just a little bit, actually, in 6th place in the Rebel Rock racing car, but is still a couple of seconds away from Gregory Leofouge. In fact, he's coming under pressure from Aaron Telitz in the Aston Martin of Archangel Motorsports. That's your top 7 at the front of the field. But all eyes all around the circuit here at VIR in the last 5 minutes of racing now on the destination of the very big trophy for TCR. Who gets the big cup in the Virginia is for Lovers, Racing Lovers Grand Prix? It'll be somebody whose car begins with an H, apparently, today. But beyond that, Jeremy, I'm not prepared to commit.
Yeah, fair comment, fair comment. I'm not going to push you on that one, that's for sure, because this is a fabulous battle between these two. And yeah, Honda's still looking for its first win of the season. That would make it the sweep of all 4 manufacturers to win a race this season in TCR, with the Alfa win last time out. But to do so, Carl Whitmer's got to prize a gap in the armour of Tyler Gonzalez. Right now, there isn't a gap at all. You see a little bit of damage to the left rear corner panel on the number 99 leading Hyundai. That was from the contact, well, one of the several contacts they had going into the roller coaster 3 or 4 laps ago, but it certainly isn't slowing it down.
Now what might, oh, down the inside, late manoeuvre, chops from the left to the right. Now that was a really smart manoeuvre from Carl Whitmer, and he goes through, and this time he has got a bit of space, and he takes the lead and he makes it stick. Now concentrate, he cannot afford to throw this car a millimetre wide at the moment. Surely that's got to be a candidate for the Michelin moment of the race. In fact, the last 5 laps at the front of the field in TCR, I was just about to say we need to keep an eye on where the leaders are, because of course the checkered flag for the TCR battle is dependent on when the leaders overall cross the line. It was the left-hand move to the outside, covered by the number 99 driver of Tyler Gonzalez, and the moment that he went for that move, that dummy, sold him the dummy and cut back to the inside. That is a classic piece of driving by Carl Whitmer. And you know what? If you have to lose a race like that, it's going to hurt. But my goodness, what a race and what a battle between those two. As the leaders, by the way, have gone through to start another lap with 2 minutes and 30 on the clock, which means we will get the white flag next time by for the overall leaders. What a battle in TCR. Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, brilliant motor race all the way around. And Spencer Pumpelly, he's got perhaps the biggest lead he's had in this race over Trent Hindman. I think he said it was 7/10 of a second. Hey, look, it's been just a brilliant masterclass here by Spencer Pumpelly. If he can hold it off here, I think he's looked after his tyres. And again, last lap around 155.8 for Spencer Pumpelly. His fastest lap of the race at 55.4, so just 4/10 away from that best lap. But he's been fabulously consistent and just doing an absolutely brilliant job to hold on to the lead of this motor race. And Gregory Leofouge, as you say, he can't quite match the pace of those other 4 leaders at this stage in the race. He's slipped back now, as you say, into the clutches almost of Robin Liddell. And Aaron Telitz, kind of surprisingly, hasn't been able to make a move on Robin Liddell.
Yeah, he's caught up now to under 3/10, which I suspect is why Robin has been trying to pick up his pace, but without the aerodynamic downforce on the front. He's a bit closer than he was.
Maybe, because he's been knocking on that door, but there's no way. Again, Robin Liddell driving a masterful defensive race as well.
So, Shea Adam, Jeremy Shaw, think about your nominations as we go to the white flag. One from each class, please, for the Michelin moment of the race. I'm going to throw the pass for the lead for TCR and Carl Whitmer. That battle absolutely superb. In GS, I can't make my mind up at the moment whether it's Spencer Pumpelly's drive, it's not really a moment, but it's been a number of moments, or Robin Liddell on the restart coming from 10th to 6th with a car that has no downforce on the front end and lapping quicker than the leader for the first 6 or 7 laps. Those are my two, and off goes Liddell just as I mentioned his name. Curse of the commentator. Shea Adam, your nominations in, first of all, GS.
GS moment of the race, not a good one, was when the 3 Aston Martins came together, because that changed the face of the race and how everybody participated in it.
Jeremy, GS?
I'm going to go for Luca Mars, I think. A brilliant run by him in that Core Motorsport car. Made a move on Riley Dickinson. Not sure whether we actually saw it, but it must have been pretty impressive because Riley is driving really, really well this season. And to come away with a podium finish again here for that Ford would be a really great accomplishment for him and Bob McCallion. They haven't done that this year as a McLaren.
Disaster for motorsport in action on the last lap.
Probably fuel, John, I hate to say.
Yeah. Is anybody going to argue with the pass for the lead for TCR? Nope. Carl Whitmer for our Michelin moment of the race? No, I thought.
Nope.
I thought that. Oh, and there's another car moving slowly. That was one of the Team TGM cars who are now both on the same lap, Matt and Hugh Plum. So I wonder if that is... No, that's the 64 car, the championship leader. Is going slowly, so it will not go past its team car as across the line for a famous victory. Spencer Pumpelly takes the win by under a half a second from Trent Hindman, who chased him all the way. Luca Mars for Core Motorsport in 3rd position. Shea Adam has some reaction from the pit wall.
Finally, a race win. Tom Collingwood, you just said we made it. How nervous were you for that end of race?
To hold on to a lead that long, it was just gut-wrenching because you just don't know what can happen in that amount of time. And for us, we've been waiting this for a while. So to sit back and just watch him do lap after lap, we're getting kind of nervous. But Spencer's really good, and there you go, and he showed it, right? So yeah, we're happy for that, and happy the car worked out okay. So it was a good race for us.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
Hearing from those trackside that the Mia McLaren was dead stick, so it was either shut off or run out of fuel. In TCR, what a win for Montreal Motorsport. Honda take their first victory of the 2024 season, and that's the full set of manufacturers that have now stood on the top step in TCR. And that is an absolute classic. Jeremy pointed out the fact that Carl did not change allegiance and stayed with his Honda roots, with the Montreal Motorsport Group being formed effectively around him, and Dai Yoshihara did his part as well. But what a drive as well from Tyler Gonzalez, played his part in the entertainment for Victor Gonzalez Racing, and Harry Gottsacker in 3rd position with the Brian Herter Autosport number 33. Let's see if we can have a quick word with Dai Yoshihara after, I'm sure,
race winner. Now, how are the emotions? How do you feel?
It's a tough one. This is my first career win in IMSA. Yeah, my co-driver Carl won a few times already, but this is my first time, and I just can't thank enough all my sponsors, including Gideon Paddock, Ineos Oil, ARP. Without their help, we couldn't do this. So.
How nervous were you watching the end of that race?
Oh my God, that was like the longest 30 minutes I ever had. But yeah, he drove really well, and he passed really nice and clean. So it was really, fun to watch the whole time.
Congratulations, the podium is that way.
Thank you.
Very good, Shea. I think he could find his way there. Let's have a look at some unofficial results while Jeremy's doing the arithmetic. on the points. There's going to be a lot of celebrating around this area tonight, and really good to see the two teams hugging it out and shaking each other's hands down on the pit lane. The Montreal Motorsport Group, the guys from Honda, and the VGRT, Victor Gonzalez Racing Team, the Hyundai team, shaking hands on the pit lane. Very good stuff. All right, the unofficial, of course, until the post-scrutineering technical checks. In GS, the 38 BGB Motorsports Porsche takes it by 0.3 of a second. Great strategy from Spencer Pumpelly, Tom Collingwood, and the rest of the team in second. And what a result that is for the championship for Stephen McAleer, who did his bit and led for the whole of his stint from pole position. Trent Hinman finished it off and kept his head in the second part of the race. Luke Lamars brought home Core Motorsports Ford Mustang in third position in the number 59 car that he shared with Bob McKillian. Really good run there in the Joe Mack race for RP. And in TCR, first win of the season for Honda and a maiden victory for Montreal Motorsport Group. Brilliant stuff for Carl Whitmer and Dai Yoshihara, with VGRT in second and Brian Herder Autosport in third. The two other big stories: Unitronic JDC, championship leaders in TCR, down in 7th in class, 17th overall. And of course, the overall championship leader, Hugh Plum, finishing in... Let me see, Matt Plum, excuse me, did finish in 15th position, so did pass their teammate at the end of the race. And that leaves the championship like this, Jeremy Shaw. Was 200 points coming in. It's nowhere near that now.
Where's Tom? Yeah, it's now 40. 21.60 for Matt Plum, 21.20 for Stephen McAleer and Trent Hinman. Into third position will remain Rory van der Steur, despite the lowly finish there, down in 17th position. And behind him, 50 points back from him to Paul Holton, who's the co-driver of Matt Plum. And then from Paul Holton, including Dylan McIvern and Robert McGuinness in the BMW, number 96. Frank Depew and Robbie Liddell in the Aston Martin, also Todd Coleman and Aaron Tielitz. All of those four cars covered by just 20 points in the table going into the final couple of races of the season. So super, super tight in that. In the Manufacturer Championship also, that's going to close up somewhat as well. I'll work on that in a minute. But in TCR, Chris Miller and Mikey Taylor, despite the problems today, still have a pretty healthy, handy championship lead. They've got 24.50, and the gap is now 170 points back to Harry Gottsacker and Robert Wickens, who overtook in the closing stages Mason Philippi and Mark Wilkins, their teammates, for third position.
Shea Adam has more from down in the pit and paddock. Oh, no, had to let that driver go to our colleagues at NBC. Jeremy's just doing the arithmetic now. Amazing stuff once again from the ladies and gentlemen of Michelin Pilot Challenge. We've got two more races, Indianapolis and Motul Petit Le Mans, of course, at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. And Jeremy's just doing the manufacturer points. I can hear him scribbling away in the background. Were we not entertained? First win of the season for Honda. And my goodness, they have worked really hard. And BGB Motorsports getting the victory. That's a little bit longer. Yellow flag just on half distance. Absolutely playing into their strategic hands as well. And Jeremy, have you got the rest of those points there? Excellent. Let's rattle through those.
Yes, I do. Yeah, in manufacturers in GS, where are we here? The Aston Martin held the lead by 80 points coming into this weekend. That lead has now been trimmed to 30. Aston Martin over Porsche by just 30, 25.50 to 25.20. and then BMW and Mercedes were tied. Mercedes with those two penalties for the BMWs. Mercedes will finish ahead. Daniel Morrow finish in 8th position, so Mercedes will retain 3rd position but this time without needing a tiebreak. They're actually 10 points ahead of them. In TCR, Manufacturer Championship was already led by Hyundai. With a 2nd place finish today, they will hold on to that ahead of Audi and Honda Civic. That's the first win of the season for Honda. So all 4 manufacturers have now scored a victory this year in TCR.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Thank you, Shay. And a final word from you, Shay. Lovely to see that battle in TCR with both the Montreal Motorsport Group and Victor Gonzalez Racing. Well, they couldn't both win, but they both looked pretty happy at the end of that race.
Yeah, and especially considering the way this weekend began, Trent Hinman's another guy who's pretty happy. You drove exactly what you needed to get back into this championship hunt. Were you going to push for the win, or were you going to settle for those points?
Of course we were going to push for the win. We always are, but it's got to be within reason, especially considering the situation that we were in championship-wise. You know, I took a little more risk at times than I really wanted to, and at that point just decided to back it down a little bit and just bring her home. So big thanks to the Ren Sport 1 boys. I know they were looking for a 3rd win in a row, but I think championship's more important at this point.
It's only 40 points now, considering a few races ago it was more than 350. You guys are doing a good job.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We just got to keep digging.
Good job today.
Thanks, Shay.
Thank you, Shay. Adam down in the pit lane. The big momentum at this time of the season is so important, Jeremy.
Yeah, indeed. Just looking back through my stats here, the last win, shockingly, for Spencer Montpellier was back in 2018, which seems pretty amazing to me. But he's worked long and hard to set that record straight, and he's finally done it here this weekend.
So what a 2-hour contest we have just witnessed for the Virginia is for Racing Lovers Grand Prix here at VIR. We've got 2 more stops on the calendar and 2 classic circuits for the drivers and teams of the Michelin Pilot Challenge to challenge them for the final positions in the championship. What a race it was, with the guys at the front of the field giving us plenty of action, but always, as always, there was something happening right through the field. Problems for both of the championship leaders in GS. Our championship lead now down to 30 points, and in TCR it's been trimmed as well. We'll see you at Indianapolis. Bye for now.